out Craft by Ashana and Ashana Closet on a Carepreneur Circle.com payment link, along with all our previous presenters. Um, every link is there. And we will welcome Yane Indigo to our platform. Welcome, Yane.
Hey, thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here. And, I've been a part of the circle, but I still got to learn so much. I'm trying to get out of the shadows. I got to learn so much about the awesome women who are part of this Carepreneur circle, and really appreciate the opportunity to come here to observe, like even more than the opportunity to present. I really appreciate the opportunity to watch the presentations and enjoy the presentations of all of the sisters that are a part of Carepreneur Circle. And I really appreciate Erica. I really appreciate you for this vision. I think it's just really amazing that what you pulled, what occurred to you out of your the difficulty that you experienced was to figure out a way to bring people together, to prevent people from having that experience, and to help people to be able to elevate each other. And so, I'm just really happy to be a part of this, and proud to call you my friend, and a partner in so many ways. So I just want to start there.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
so nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I also just really appreciate the presentations of all of the women, and I'm really love that, like, this was a first for every single one of us, and everyone decided to just have the courage to jump out and try something new together. And I think that it was a wonderful experience, a wonderful bonding experience, as well as a wonderful learning experience, a wonderful spirit lifting experience. And it's continuing to go. So it's not like I say was, but it has been and is being all of those things. So I feel really just excited and honored to be here with all of these amazing women. And so the reason I'm here is to talk about my coaching service, Free and Flow, and it says navigating abundance, and that's like the tagline. And the reason for that, and why I named it Free and Flow, is because navigating abundance, there's like a lot of conversation that's happening right now about like manifesting, about abundance, about how the universe is abundant, and what that means, what that looks like. And I think that the conversation that's happening publicly, generally, it's got a lot of the truths, but there's like lots of missing pieces based on my experiences. I was introduced to a lot of these ideas, luckily for myself, a couple of almost, I guess, about 3 decades ago. At this point, I was introduced to the concept of manifestation, and a lot of the spiritual principles that are what make up the the that are what abundance and manifestation of abundance are about. And I've had the opportunity to play with the tools of manifestation, which are spiritual tools, for all of these years, for close to 30 years. And because of that, because I've been able to really be thinking about it, examining and exploring it, I have the ability to see over the course of my life what that looks like, what the manifestation looks like, and also what it doesn't look like. And so what I began to do, because I have this very unique life. I like right now I'm in Dominican Republic, and this year I've spent a good amount of time in, I went to Nicaragua, Colombia, Costa Rica, Nigeria, and now I'm here in Dominican Republic. And I travel like that and move around the world. And this was something that I manifested when I was in my early 20s, at least. I know that I began to really pursue this kind of life. Like I just imagined this life, and I was, picturing, I would do all of the things they tell you as far as picturing your life. I was drawn to formulate and to live, moving around the world, interacting with different communities and different cuisines and learning from different cultures. And I wanted to do that as soon as my daughter became an adult and went off to university. And I used to say to her, from very young age, when you go off to university and you come home for your breaks, you could be visiting mommy anywhere in the world. And so that was something that was just like one piece of what I had been manifesting in my life. And I live that way now. And so that's an example of the way that had many years of being able to play with the tools of manifestation and manifest a very unique life. And so people constantly were asking me how I do it and how they could live more of a life that would fit, like would be what their dreams are. And so I began to pay attention to some of the ways that people get in the way of fulfilling their ability to manifest a dream life, and began to coach people and help them to identify the barriers, to better understand their life and what they want for their lives, and to be able to really have a transformed life. And I began that coaching. This is 2025, so I'd say probably about eight. I'd say maybe 8 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. Um, yeah, maybe about 10 years ago, I started that coaching. And one of the things that really excites me, one of my favorite things, so I do a lot of things, but coaching is one of my favorites. And it's because of how much I enjoy seeing people transform their lives, especially if people are experiencing like unhappiness, and then they're able to switch to a place of like great joy. So I remember, for example, having one person who I worked with. And when I first started working with her, so this was a person who is very much a person who's about having herself together, being together, and getting other people together, right? And she was in such a state that like her hair was undone and had like, debris in it, and she had holes in her clothes, and she could barely talk through a conversation without crying. She was just so despondent. And I started working with her, and I could see within the first couple of sessions, transformation starting to happen within her. And by the third session, I always remember this moment when she threw both her hands up, because it was like something clicked, what we were talking about, it like clicked, and she could see the whole path forward for herself. And that moment is really, for me, what the coaching is about. I live a very free life, and I'm an organizer, like an activist, community organizer. One of the community is none of us are free. Us are free, and so I have the ability to like just kind of unplug and just like kick it and do what I feel like doing. Like I can make that happen very easily, but I don't enjoy knowing that there are people who are miserable, that people don't understand why they're miserable, and that they're not figuring out how to get out of that misery. And so for me, it's really important to go back and connect with folks and help them to be able to achieve the life that they deserve and were actually put on a planet for. So a lot of what we focus on is really understanding what abundance really is. There's this perception that's, so we live in this like very individualized society where that's what capitalism is about. What can I get? How much can I get? How much can I hold on to? And and the very idea of like gathering as much as possible, which is what a lot of people are thinking of when they think of abundance, is actually a scarcity based approach to life and living. When you are abundant, you don't have to hold on to anything. You don't have to pile up. Like if you got an apple tree, you're not going to go and take all the apples off the apple tree and pile them up, right? That's waste. That's all that is. It's hoarding, and it's definitely not feeling like, it's not like acknowledging that the apples are there every time you need them. You don't have to pull them, hurry up and put them in bags and go and hide them in a cupboard or put them inside. Even if you put them on display in your kitchen, that's not actually operating from a place of abundance. And that's not what you would do if you have a tree that's producing all the apples that you could need and all the apples that your neighborhood could possibly desire. You would just make the apple tree available to anybody who wanted it, because there's nothing that's going to prevent you from being able to access the apples that you want. And so abundance is actually about not holding on, but just enjoying and also letting flow. Not necessarily, it's not even just letting go, it's letting flow. So the other piece of understanding is that we also, one of the things that's also becoming more and more clear in our collective conversations is how we're all connected, and that we're all connected. And the fact that we're all connected is true. And so if we think of ourselves as having like one collective body, then we recognize that by moving, so I like to think of it like a heart. Like when you have a heart, the heart is working best when when blood is coming in and blood is going out, right? That's the job, right, of the heart. Blood is coming in and it's going out. It doesn't come in the same vessel that it goes out of. It comes in one vessel, it goes out of another vessel, and it flows through the body, and then it comes back in. Flow is how we experience abundance. It's how we communicate our faith in abundance. It's how we communicate that we actually trust the universe to manifest for us and within our lives the things that we want, need, desire, in order to not just fulfill our purpose, but to enjoy ourselves while we're doing it. And that's the trick. It's fulfilling your purpose, because we have purposes when we come here, right? So it's fulfilling your purpose and enjoying yourself while you're in the midst of fulfilling your purpose. And then there's trusting the universe to support our ability to fulfill our purpose. And part of trusting the universe is letting flow. So the flow piece is when you don't try to push and you don't try to force things to happen for you. And it's also when you don't hold on to everything. If you're holding on, then you are like you're the cog. You're the clog in the movement of the body. So if you think about like a blood clot, right? That's always considered really dangerous. Anywhere that you may have a blood clot, it's completely considered dangerous, from my understanding as a non-medical professional. But because it stops the flow. And if you stop the flow, the whole body can die. And so our efforts, our desires are to actually hold on to things. It's like creating blood clots in our collective system. If you allow things to flow and you know that they're going to come back into your life, maybe not in exactly the same way, but what you need is going to flow in because you have made room for things to flow out. And well, as a result of things flowing out, and you have actually also shown your faith in the universe, your trust in the universe. A lot of the process of manifesting, a lot of what's related to abundance is a conversation, it's a dance with spirit. That is actually when we're saying we actually trust the universe. Like, we can't sit there and say, well, once you have given me everything I want, I'll trust you. That's not how it works. It's, I trust you, so I'm going to walk in faith. And then the universe sees that trust and it responds in harmony with that trust. And so, what I do with my coaching is, these are all ideas, right, that are easy to discuss, easy to ponder, easy to consider, and to agree with. How do you put them into practice? How do you actually engage in your life in a way that makes the use of these principles and these ideas um, real, so that you actually can begin the manifestation process, so that you can begin to experience the abundance of the universe and the abundance of your own personal imprint in the universe. And what I do with coaching is I help people to identify the ways they're not doing that, and to identify the ways that they can do that. And it's very, very, a lot of times it's very, very nuanced. A lot of times it's very particular. And it goes from like the language that we use, it goes from the way that we imagine things, it goes from the way that we perceive ourselves, the things that we think we want, then the way, the things that we say, the things that we do. So there's all of these different layers through it. And a lot of it starts even with, like I said, the things that we think we want, because we all know, another thing we talk about a lot nowadays is how we're programmed. And so we know that we are programmed, and it's hard to figure out who you are versus who you have been told to be. And and there's a lot of people and programs and processes that tell us who it is that we should be, and they don't know. The only people who know really are us. And maybe there are some spiritual people who can give us some guidance and direction, but the knowing is fully, deeply embedded within us. And there's a process that we need to go through in order to be able to get to the place where we actually know who we are. And then, as a result of knowing who we are, we can begin to actually know and understand what we really want, what we want in our life, and then be able to read those things in order to get a better understanding of what our purpose is, and then to begin to manifest a life that moves us towards the fulfillment of our purpose. And that's where the joy comes. That's where you have a dream life, and where you feel so happy all the time. And, and it's, a lot of times we've been told it's external things. And, yes, we need things. Maybe we need this car. We need this baking mechanism, or something like that. But the way that we think of wealth through this capitalist frame, it doesn't bring fulfillment. And that's why you'll have these people who seem to have these dream lives with all this money, and then they will decide to unalive themselves, hurt themselves, find themselves depressed, be dealing with different mental health disorders, dealing with um, different kinds of um, addictive disorders, because they maybe have been able to find their way through into success through this capitalist system. However, they are not necessarily finding their way through to their purpose, and so they can feel very dissatisfied, especially if they may be doing things that are completely separate and different and far removed from their purpose. And so what I really love to do is help people get to a place where they're able to find fulfillment and, and be able to find their way to a place of purpose that is very satisfying for them. And then when all the things that they need in order to fulfill their purpose just start showing up left and right. And then that also is so satisfying and so exciting, because now you can feel your connection to the universe. You can see the universe answering you and guiding you and working with you. And you can know that your purpose is real. And there's so much fulfillment in that. Like, I don't even know how to even make it be understood what it is that I live through, that fulfillment of purpose that I have every moment of my life. Like, I'm so clear. I'm so confirmed. It's very, very well confirmed in my life that the things that I'm doing are related to why I exist at all. And it feels so magical. I live a life that just feels like magic all the time. And I know that all of us can feel that. And that's one of the things that that's what my coaching. Now, I do a lot of work that's more about the collective, which is really a large part of my purpose, is around the collective. And so ensuring that we as creatures alive in the world, wherever we are, have our basic needs met, that we have justice, that we don't have things that interfere with our ability to identify and see and know our purpose. That's a lot of what my work is in the world. That's where my purpose comes in. And a lot of the projects and things that I work on, all of the projects and things that I work on are about that. I do, the work that I do is for the collective. So I don't work to build my own individual wealth at all. I work to build our collective wealth. And the universe really takes good care of me while I'm doing that. So I don't have a job. I don't work in typical traditional ways. I don't get a paycheck. I'm just going to adjust, because seeing myself in this shadow is just like, that's better. But I don't get a paycheck or anything like that. But I eat well, I eat healthily. I'm in good health physically. Like I said, I sit in here, like the pool is right there, and I'm in walking distance to the beach, and I'm here working on, my books and working on an album, and just, being able to build and do creative things while building these projects with other people who see the vision for all of us to be able to operate in a totally different way. And everything that is needed for these projects to come into fulfillment, they're just being thrown at me. And so I really work from the place of thinking about the collective, and then boil from the collective down to, like, what is my part in the collective? What is my role in helping the collective to reach its place? Because we are a body, and as a body, we're not healthy. And as we improve our health, and as our collective health, that's how we improve our individual health. As we build up our collective wealth, that's the best way for us to build our individual wealth. That's the best way for us to be able to be in flow, is actually by thinking about what it is that we can give out, what is we can give away, what skills do we have that we can share, what is it that we have that we can give to the body. And we're all doing that, then automatically the things that we need are going to be coming and being given unto us. And so, it's a different kind of world that I'm building towards. And I guess one last thing I want to say, idea wise, is I want to just talk about, like, the fact that there's, like, about consciousness, right? So we have our own consciousness. Like, I think of it like my consciousness, the thing that enables me to think and look at what's going on and have ideas and make decisions. Then I have like my higher consciousness, which I tap into. And my higher consciousness is specifically oriented and focused on me and, and my fulfillment of my purpose and the path, moving me along the path to my purpose. My higher consciousness is what makes decisions and makes and influences the things that happen around me. So like say I apply for a job and I think this job is really perfect for me, will be super ideal for me. I'm perfectly qualified for it. And I've been in a situation where there really literally could not have been another person who was more qualified for the job than I was. Everybody in the community was like, this is clearly her job, and I didn't get the job. And I felt like my head was going to explode. And I would love to tell that story at some point, but I don't want to take up, I don't know how time works, but I mean, it was really.
You good with time? You have a half an hour left.
Okay. So I'll say, like, if anybody has any questions, just feel free to ask. And in the meantime, I'll just tell a couple of stories. So at this particular time that I'm talking about, I had a couple of opportunities that didn't happen for me. I was behind on my rent. I was like having a hard time paying my bills, paying, making sure that my daughter had the things that she needed. And I had been volunteering in my community, which is Germantown at that time, and Philadelphia. I mean, I put together one program that I worked on for 6 months that was free for the community, that I spent about as much as 60 hours a week working on this, just like so obsessed about putting this thing together. And it was really like the impact of that event is still felt in Germantown. And, so I had done so much stuff in this community, and this job came up that was, they actually nicknamed me. Different people used to be like, wait, you don't know Yane? She's like the mayor of Germantown. Like, that's how much I had poured into this community. And then a job came up that literally was an executive director position for, it essentially would be the closest thing that you could imagine being the mayor of Germantown, right? That's what this job's position was. And I didn't cultivate that name. People just randomly would call me that because of how much commitment I had demonstrated and how much I poured into Germantown. And so when I applied for this job, and I didn't get the job under the conditions that I was in, I literally felt like my head was going to explode. I remember yelling at my girlfriend, like, Danita, Erica, Danita. Danita was like, well, maybe that job wasn't for you. And I was like, well, if this job isn't for me, what job could possibly be? Like, I literally felt like I was going to lose my mind, because nothing seemed to be working for me. And, and I was having a hard time holding my life up. And, and then fast forward, moving on over the course of many months, and another opportunity that I thought was going to work out for me didn't work out. I applied for that job a second time because the person they hired to do the job didn't stay in the job, and so they were doing it, and I didn't get strong consideration even the second time. But I got told, because I told you I have these liberation projects. So one of the liberation projects is an app, and I wanted to figure out how I would get this app built. And somebody told me, Sharon told me about programs where you can learn to write code, these boot camp programs where you can learn to write code. And they told me about one in particular that was in San Francisco. So I went to look it up. And when I looked it up, I found a few. I found one in Amsterdam, and I found one in South Africa. And I really wanted to go to the one in South Africa, but it was shorter and the timing wasn't right. The one in Amsterdam, it really lined up right with my daughter's semester, like almost exactly with my daughter's first semester. So I could put my daughter off to school, do this program, and come back when her semester was finished. And so I applied for this program, didn't know how I would pay for it or anything, but I applied for the program, I applied for funding, got accepted in the program. Within 2 weeks, I had the acceptance, I had funding, and I had funding through that and through like setting up to rent out rooms in the house, enough money to cover all of my bills, to catch up on how I was behind, cover all of my bills, go to Amsterdam and live like wealthy. Like there was no problems I had in Amsterdam. I had a nice little 2-bedroom apartment. and my friends were able to come and stay and visit me and stay in the extra room and all of that. This was the shift from like not being behind in my rent, my utilities had gotten shut off, all this stuff, to all of a sudden I have all of my everything covered.
Yes.
Moved to Amsterdam for these 3 months. I came back from Amsterdam. When I came back from Amsterdam and finished the program, it was when Bernie Sanders was running for president the first time, 2016. I ended up, because I was thumping for Bernie Sanders, I ended up going on CNN 2 days in a row. Second time I went on CNN, it went viral. And that viral video caused people to start putting donations, just donating to me, wanting me to fly around the country. I was known by celebrities like Rosario Dawson was like, yo, somebody, I got lost in Portland. And I was like, I don't know where I am. And Rosario Dawson was like, somebody help Yane, figure out where she, like people, like celebrities knew me that I didn't even know. Like all of this stuff was kind of like completely changed and transformed. The thing is that I had given up on this life that I wanted to live, that I'm living right now, when I couldn't see a way to make it happen. But I had been so sure and certain of it for 14, 15 years. So that last like year and a half, 2 years of uncertainty couldn't override. So those jobs, those opportunities that I was looking for, they would have prevented me from going to Amsterdam, from coming back and joining that show. And none of that stuff would have been able to happen if I had gotten those job opportunities. So even though they seemed like they were so perfect and so right for me, they actually would have gotten in the way of what I was drawn to do. And the reason that I was drawn to travel the world is not just because I want to sightsee, because I'm a community builder and I want a different kind of world. And I need to move around the world and connect with people all around the world in order to build community, in order to move the project that I'm working on forward. So so that's just, a little bit of an example of like how I would say that my super conscious or my higher conscious influenced those people who should have thought that I would have been an ideal candidate for that job into not actually hiring me, because my purpose did not want me to be doing that, because it would have gotten in the way of me actually fulfilling what my purpose is. So that's the kind of life trajectory that I have that has enabled me to be able to have a perspective and an understanding, because I've been living from this manifestation reality for all these years, that I've been able to see the manifestation, see what it looks like, see how it operates, and build the connections. So I do see a couple of questions, or I see one question. I'm just going to look over some of these notes. Um, and so I thank you for that transparency, CJ, about some of this information being introduced to you. And yeah, there's a lot of people who may not have as much information about some of these things, but that's why I do the coaching. And thank you, Chef Mo, for appreciating the story. Erica, I do group coaching. As well as individual coaching. And I can do coaching in like for organizations or for businesses. The best, and I can also do workshops. The best thing though is long term. Like there's like a shift in consciousness that happens, and that I work to help nurture so that people are able to begin to step. It's a whole different way, because been a we've been inundated and immersed in a way of being that is in conflict with our ability to actually line up with and align with the universe. And so that's why people are like, oh my goodness, I'm trying to manifest. Why aren't things manifesting for me? Because you may not even be like, you do have to, it's not just like any random thing. Like you do need to have some alignment with who you actually are. You're not going to get accepted. You're not going to get things like the story I just said that are in conflict with you. and your actual natural vibration. So you actually need to like do some of the work to actually get aligned in that way. So I do prefer, and that's why. So one of the things that what it is that I'm offering today on the Carepreneur Circle is is a um, is a co-assessment. So that's like it's a consultation where you and I sit down and talk and figure out if we're a good fit for each other to establish a coaching relationship. So it's not you applying to work with me. It's not me applying to work with you. It's us just determining if this will be a good relationship. Just like with a therapist, if you hire a therapist, if you want to get a therapist, you need a therapist that's the right fit for you. The one that's good for Erica may not be good for me, right? So it's in that kind of a sense. We can sit down and determine whether or not I only have right now have 4 spots that of coaching that I can accept. And I can accept more co-assessments, but I would do only so many because I don't want to identify a bunch of people who I could do it. We could work together and we want to work together, but I don't have the spots for it. But I'm taking in, accepting few people who can do a co-assessment with me in order to identify whether or not you want to establish a coaching relationship. The coaching relationships have a 6-month minimum because it does take, like, you can't just sit down, like, it's a whole change of the way you think, and it's really examining what's going on, listening to how you talk about the things, listening to how you think about things in order to be able to figure out where the disconnect is and get you back aligned, and get you in habits that will support your abundance. And so that co-assessment is being offered, and it's being offered. I usually do the co-assessments at 150. I'm doing them for 110 as a discount for while in the Carepreneur Circle. So if you get it while we're here, then you can get it at that discounted rate. You can find me everything, all my things are Yane Indigo. So my .com, yaneindigo.com, my Instagram, Twitter, they're all at Yane Indigo. YouTube is Yane Indigo with a little underscore. I don't know, it made me do that. But TikTok, all my things, my PayPal, paypal.me/Yane Indigo, my Venmo, everything is Yane Indigo, YAHNENDGO. So and I see that's not, I should have put that in there, but it's I'll say it again, it's YAHNENDGO, and that's N like nature. YAHN like nature, N like nature, D like divine, G like goddess, O. Yane Indigo. All my stuff is there. So that's how you find me. Yeah, does anybody else have any questions? While waiting to see if any questions show up, I just want to say again how much I really am excited to be a part of this circle, to be able to exchange support with the amazing women here. I can't wait to get a savory cupcake. Ooh, I'm like that. Those that I don't like sweets. I'm not into sweets like that. So I can't wait to get me a savory cupcake. And I definitely do need some accounting services. I've been kind of hiding from that because I know that money's not real. So I don't really put a lot of energy and attention into that. But I do feel like I need to figure a couple, kind of work with somebody. So I at least have people that I can like trust and feel comfortable with, talking through some of
So
those.
Yane, let me stop you for a minute because people probably like, what is she talking about? She's crazy. What does she mean money not real? Will you just elaborate on that?
Sure. So, so money is made up, right? It's paper somebody printed and they, made it up in order to control our access to resources and control the flow of resources. So what's happening is that we have energy, right? So that's why money is called currency, because it's a representation of energy. So that energetic flow that moves between us, which is what the different products and things that we may buy or sell, or things, they all really represent our energy, right? Their energy that we're sharing and moving, and our creativity, all of those things. And so that gets put embodied through this external thing that is called money, that is really just a representation of our worth and our value, but it can never actually fully represent it. It takes our abundant value, our unending, infinite value, and it puts it into these finite ideas. It puts it into this finite concept that is money. If we let go of that, it would make it a lot easier for us to actually operate within within a sense of flow. We have a sense of limits and scarcity, because the thing that represents our boundless energy has actually created to be scarce. And then that scarcity, that idea of that scarcity, it takes power away from us. It disconnects us from the universe. It disconnects us from our energy and from each other. And it causes us to operate from a place of scarcity. But yeah, that's why I say, like, money's not real, it's made up. And I know that, and I don't center money. I center the energy. I center the things that I'm meant to do. And as a result of that, I'm able to get those things done. And a lot of times, like, the things that maybe you would think money is what you need to get a thing, but I often don't use money to get a majority of the things that I want to need in my life. It's my energy and it's my alignment with the universe that enables that to happen. And it's really, like, seems like freaky, but it's true, and the world is magical, and that's what we're disconnected from. We're not able to experience how magical the world is, because because we have been so disconnected from it. But the more you do reconnect with it, the more you're able to actually, like, trust it. And then the whole way that life functions begins to shift and be completely different. And so one other thing I like to just mention is, we were talking about consciousness, and we're talking about the way that these systems are imposed on us, and we are immersed in these systems. And in addition to our individual consciousness, like, everything has a consciousness. Like, this wall has a consciousness. My pup obviously has a consciousness. The plants have a consciousness. The earth has a consciousness. And we actually have the ability to be in harmony and be able to exchange information through our consciousness. We have a collective consciousness, and we have our individual consciousness that is able to always be able to connect with our collective consciousness. That's where intuition comes from. Like, when you just know something, that's one of my gifts, is like, just is intuition. So when you just know something, even though, like, you don't know how you know it, that's because of our connection to our collective consciousness. When psychics are operating, when you know things about other people, that's a connection to our collective consciousness. They're able to connect to that and be able to hear and receive information from that and from the other people. And so we also, in addition to manifesting for ourselves, we also co-manifest with each other. And so when we have certain ideas that we believe in, we actually are creating the world that we live in together, and there's more power in our collective manifestation. And so that's another reason why, like, when it talks about groups, and, like, especially if you have a group that's working on something, working towards a goal, if you're able to, like, really tap into and harness co-manifestation processes, then there's so much more power. Like, even in, like, biblical principles, they say when two or more gather, or when three or more gather, when they talk about the power of prayer, that's that co-manifestation, where it's more powerful for you to manifest with somebody. It's like you by yourself is 100, then you with another person is like 1,000. It's not 200, And so when you add 3 people, when you add thousands of people, so when we watch movies, when we read books, and they're telling us certain things are happening, when they're showing us Star Trek, we co-manifest the reality that enables them to make what they showed us in Star Trek be real. We're actually creating the reality that other people want for ourselves, want for us. and want for the world. And we need to shift towards co-manifesting a reality that we want, one that is loving and amazing, just magical, in which everyone is able to be free, and in which everyone is able to be empowered and to really enjoy the blessing of their gifts and sharing them with our community. So yeah, that's what I feel in this moment. I see that CJ, the accountant, agrees with the understanding that money is fake. And yes, co-creating strength in numbers, that's exactly right. And and the young people are understanding this. So that's the thing that's really cool. Like, they're not buying the BS that has been imposed on us and that we were born into, and that many of us really believed in. They're not buying that. So luckily, they're already ready to manifest something different, to manifest something transformative, and a different world. But yeah, that's what I'm here for. And like I said, I do wish that I could do more coaching sessions, but there's so many things that I have going on that I can't really take on more than 4 more people. The sessions would be like once a month. So we would meet once a month, and we would go through, our coaching process. And then after that, each person would have, you have the month to kind of like to meditate on, process, to take in what we talked through, what we worked on, to shift practices, to have time to examine and explore what was going on, and then to be able to come back so we can talk through those things and move a step forward. An ideal client would be a person who, I think there are a few different ones, but I think the core is the realization, the desire to realize, to tap into who you are and realize your purpose. A person who is open-minded to being able to examine and explore things beyond what they already have been told is real, and ready to actually activate around the changes that we talk through. So I really don't want to take one of the small number of slots that I have available and meet with somebody who will sit with me and talk about things and concepts, but not make any transformations, not make any changes, because there's somebody who would be able to take the information, use it, and transform their lives. So a person who has the commitment to actually taking, is risky. It'll feel very risky because it's stepping into something that's new. And there's sacrifices that come with it as well. There's what do they call that? When you're between, like, after you die and before you go to heaven or hell, there's an in-between place. I forget what it's called in certain religious, purgatory. There's a purgatory. There's a place of purgatory that comes with shifting out of where we've been and shifting into freedom. It's just like if you imagined the Catholic schoolgirl. Thank you, CJ. Just like if you imagine if you were on a plantation during enslavement and you want to get free, there's that process. You have to have a commitment. When you're enslaved, you still probably, it may not be a good enough house, but you have a place that you can sleep. It may not be sufficient, good enough food, but you have food. You may not really be safe, but you have security of, like, at least knowing what to expect. And when you run away from that, before you get to freedom, you have to run through all kinds of terrain and territories that are unfamiliar. You may have to face all kinds of dangers. You'll be dealing with hunger. You'll be sleeping outside. You have to have a commitment to going from what was and going through whatever you have to go through to get to what should be. And so the right client is a person who has the readiness and the willingness to struggle towards purpose, to struggle towards freedom, and by any means necessary. So yeah, that would be my answer to that question. Um, I want to also point people back to carepreneurcircle.com. That's where you would be able to go if you want to purchase one of the co-applicant co-assessment sessions. They're 45-minute sessions. They're quick get to know us, get to know each other sessions. And you know, you got some get to know me through this live. More will be getting to know each other, and me getting to know more about you and what your struggle has been. Um, so Chef Mo is asking if I can explain self sabotage. Um, you know, I have to let me think about that for a second. I think that when I think about self sabotage, I think about where you may have something that you are seeking to accomplish or you think you're seeking to accomplish. And at the same time, you do things that undermine your ability to accomplish that. And my thoughts about that, I haven't really like dove into that, you know, historically, like already in a lot of ways. But my thoughts about that in this moment, one is that what you may be aiming to do may not be what's right for you. And that might be a reason why you are sabotaging yourself. Or a lot of times people self sabotage because they don't believe in themselves. So maybe you are trying to do a thing and you're inspired to do a thing that you are supposed to be doing, but you don't believe in yourself. You've had a lot of people who have undermined you or not affirmed you, demeaned you, you know, and stolen some of your confidence. And you may need to rebuild your confidence so that you can believe in yourself, in order to not undermine. Because, like a lot of times, if you are unsure that you can do the thing you're setting out to do, you'll undermine the process of getting there so that you don't have to see the failure. So if you don't have the faith in the vision, then you'll um you'll break up the path so that that gets to be the excuse that you have for not not accomplishing it, and not that your fear is realized that you couldn't do it, right? So say you are trying to ace a math exam, you have a math exam coming, but you don't have confidence in your ability to do math, so you don't study. Because if you study really hard and then you only get a D, that makes you feel like more of a failure than if you don't study much. Even if you actually fail as a result of not studying, it doesn't actually communicate the same thing to you as it does if you put all your work and effort in and then you don't actually perform in the way that you wanted to. And so I think a lot of the self sabotage can come from that fear, that lack of faith or that lack of confidence in your ability to actually land the thing that you're seeking to accomplish. And I think one of the ways that you overcome that is by not actually being as invested in accomplishing the thing. There's if you don't accomplish whatever it is that you set out to accomplish, that's where you can know that, oh, well, maybe that's not what my purpose was. Maybe the effort to accomplish that thing is actually driving me in the direction of my purpose. Maybe my purpose is some further away place, or maybe my purpose is some place that's in route to that. And I'll figure that out. Maybe that takes me closer and then I have to go left. Is that left? Yeah. Maybe you get closer and then you go left in order to be able to get to where your actual purpose is. So don't actually be so invested. The thing to invest in is the process. The thing to invest in is doing your best always, and not as much on what the end result is. Because if it's meant for you, then it's what's going to happen, particularly if you have the actions that line up with it. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts around self-sabotaging behavior.
Thank you, Deanne. Can
Yeah.
you just give your offer one more time in the circle payment link?
Yep. So my offer again is to have a co-application consultation, a co-assessment, consultation where we would sit down together and determine on a one-on-one whether or not we feel that it's a good fit for us to establish a coaching relationship. And I've knocked off and created a discount. Instead of 150 for that co-application consultation, it would be 110, and it would set us up for the potential of having a minimum of 6 months of sessions, once a month, and those sessions can be paid for monthly, or you can pay for all of them up front, and then they would be you would get actually 1 month. You would have 1 month that you don't pay. Um, and so the monthly sessions are $600 a month, and like I said, if you get a package of 6 of them, then you can get that for $3,000. So that's basically 1 month that's free. Yeah, so the link again is carepreneurcircle.com, and that's where you can go to either get one of the co-applicant consultations, the co-assessment sessions, or to get any of the offers that were made by any of the other women who have presented and will be presenting. I just want to once again also reiterate how much of a pleasure it is and has been to be a part of this circle. I really am excited to have opportunities to get to know all of the women in this circle and those who will join, even better for us to be able to elevate each other, affirm each other, support each other, and exchange with each other and flow through the circle, this unbreakable bond that we are creating, that through the inspiration of Erica, to send energy amongst us, in between us, and through us, to flow energy amongst the circle. So really appreciate it, really excited to be a part of this. Appreciate all of you, and appreciate you, Erica, so much. Definitely encourage people who are ready for that kind of connecting, affirming, elevating, building, exchanging, to really strongly think about joining the circle, joining the Facebook group, and and being a part of us, being here with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to see who are next on our list. Again, please visit carepreneurcircle.com. Then you will have access to the payment link and have access to everyone's either service